So every daily work assignment has two parts to it. Sort of a multiple choice survey, as well as a practice problem for you to work on. All of that happens on paper, but it also happens online. So to actually start your daily work, the best thing to do is just to go to the course website, right here, the address is on the daily worksheet itself, and jump into the place that says daily work. So for this particular activity, it'd be the daily work associated with Chapter 1, so we'll just jump right in there. And what you'll see is a couple of videos. So for daily work 3, you can match that up to what it's got right here. A couple of videos to watch, sort of introductory. Usually this is probably where most of the lecturing, per se, that you will consume this semester will happen, is through these videos in your daily work process. So watch a couple of videos, take notes on the videos, treat them like you were sitting in a lecture so that you have a robust set of notes and a study resource for a little bit later on. And once you've watched the videos, you then have the ability to respond to these multiple choice questions. So there's a printed copy of them on the sheet itself, so please select your answers there. But I also am asking you to submit those answers online. So there's a link at the bottom of the videos that says complete the daily work at this link. Hit up that link, and it'll just give you a place to submit your survey responses. So submit those there and also record your answers on your paper sheet. And then once you've done that, there's a practice problem for you to work on at the bottom of the page. So I'll collect those when you bring them to class on Wednesday. But before I do, after you've completed this whole daily work, and the way that I score daily work is you completed it and made a good faith effort at doing it, or you didn't. Right? So I'm not going to be grading these per se. I may give you some light feedback on them, particularly if I see something especially important to give you feedback on in daily work. My goal is not to spend a ton of time providing feedback on these. I care mostly that you're doing them and that you're discussing them with one another where appropriate, and you're sort of getting into the material in advance of coming to class. Because most of our classes, as hopefully last week was an example, most of our classes are spent in groups, actually sort of doing the work and doing the hard problem-solving bit for which I believe it's most important for us to do together as a group. And the stuff that's less important to do together that you can do individually, things like consuming lectures and responding to multiple choice problems and stuff like that, that stuff you do outside of class. So I want the hardest work to be done here, is my philosophy, because that's where the learning happens. So before Wednesday, hit up the website, watch the videos, respond to the survey questions, try this practice problem, and then before you hand it in, I also ask you to do one more thing. You see at the top right, underneath where it says your name, I'm asking you to circle your self-assessment. So how do you feel about the stuff that you completed on this? You can see that there's a spectrum from big smile at one end to smashing your head against a wall on the other end. So please feel free to be unflinchingly honest with yourself in that self-assessment. If things are not going well, it's not like it's going to mark your grade down, but it might be helpful for you to say to yourself, and might as well be helpful for me to see when I look at these. So make sure you circle that self-assessment after you complete the work on the daily work, but before you actually hand it in. So your daily works, each of the daily works that I check off as having been completed, you receive a grade that's called S, satisfactory. So that's the best grade you can receive on a daily work. And then that daily work becomes a check mark in the inside of your syllabus. So this is another reason to always have a copy of the syllabus. So two things you always should have on you: a copy of your copy of the course syllabus and also your Plickers card. Because as you complete those assignments, they become checkboxes in each of these columns. And your grade at the end of the semester is determined by how many columns of checkboxes you were able to check off here. So there's a column here, a lane for your daily work. So the first one you complete will become the first checkbox here. You check them all off from left to right. We're going to have about 24 opportunities for daily work over the course of the semester, and I think there's 22 checkboxes here or something. So you can miss a couple and still be on track to get an A. There's also mastery, which comes on quizzes and exams. There's the exams themselves, and there's a document portfolio. I'm going to talk more about those, obviously, as the semester goes along. But the idea is that each one of these assignments is marked on a scale from exemplary work down to I didn't even assess it. And exemplary and satisfactory marks both get you full credit for that assignment. Marks of progressing or not assessed get you no credit for that assignment or that assessment or that standard yet. Right? So the purpose of this grading system, as opposed to using points, percentages, and weights — I don't use points, percentages, or weights at all. for a couple of reasons. One of which is that abstract algebra, like a lot of math, is something that takes a while to really get used to. And in a traditional grading system, if I give you a quiz at the end of this week, and I would like to give you a quiz on Friday, if I were to give you that quiz and you were to not do so well, 20% on it or something like that, 30%, let's say, that becomes a black mark in your grade that can haunt you later on down the line. Because if you didn't get it the first time around, you get punished in traditional grading. In this grading system, you get chances to revise your work. So if I give you a quiz at the end of this week and it doesn't reach this satisfactory standard, so what's the standard? All problems are attempted, at least 80% are correct, any computations are well supported. Right? That's the standard for mastery on a quiz. If your work doesn't reach that standard, it just means you haven't mastered that standard yet. And so you have opportunities later on. You can revise that work, either on a later revision, which is done as part of a quiz in class, as part of an exam. The best option really is to schedule a revision quiz appointment with me in my office hours. If you come back to it again and master the standard the second time around, then you get full credit for that standard. Right? It's more important to me that you're learning and that you're progressing, and not when it happens. The only real true deadline for us is the last day of the semester. So until we get there, until you've gotten mastery on any of our 12 learning standards from the course, I want you to keep working at it. And that's why the grades work the way that they do. The other thing that it permits you to do is kind of look and set a grade target for yourself for the semester. Not everybody needs to get an A out of the semester when they come in. You might be coming into this course saying, you know, what I really need is I just need to finish my degree. I'd be okay with a B minus or a B. What this grading system kind of lets you do is set your own target, your own little contract with yourself. I need to make a B this semester. Okay, so that means you need to check all the check boxes in the B column as well as the C and D to get to that column. So this is going to be your roadmap. And because Blackboard is not very good at keeping grades in this fashion, I keep grades on my own separate grade spreadsheet, but my intention is to send you once a week a little email from that grade spreadsheet that just gives you an update of your progress to make sure that you and I both have the same checkboxes checked for each of you, and we're proceeding accurately through the semester. And since we're looking at this now, let me also mention experience points. So the XP that you can claim, 5 of them per week over the course of the semester. That means that roughly 75 of them are available over the course of the semester. The experience points are one of the things, along with your performance on the final exam, that determine how to take the grade category that you make and adjust it, either with a plus, with no modifier, with a minus, or possibly bump you down to the next lower grade with a plus on it. Right? So how many experience points you have and how many standards on the final exam you demonstrate mastery of. They can't change your grade all that much, but they can give you a plus, they can give you a minus, or they can bump you down. So those are the 2 separate ways in which your final grade for the semester are determined. The actual category of your grade, A, B, C, D, is determined by the check marks in here, and then the plus-minus modifier is determined by the experience points and your performance on the final.